There are moments in life when everything feels confusing. Doors close, people walk away, prayers seem unanswered, and you begin to wonder, God, where are you? But what if I told you that sometimes the very season that feels the hardest is actually the season right before your greatest blessing? Many people miss their miracle because they misunderstand the signs. They think God has abandoned them when in reality, He is preparing them. They think the struggle means defeat when in fact it is the setup for divine victory. Throughout history, before God moved in a powerful way in someone's life, He first allowed certain signs to appear. These signs are not accidents. They are not random struggles. They are signals from heaven that something greater is coming. So today we're going to uncover 7 powerful signs that God often shows when He is about to bless your life. And if you recognize these signs in your life right now, then listen carefully, because what you are going through may not be punishment. It may be preparation. Stay with me until the end, because the final sign is one of the clearest indicators that your breakthrough is closer than you think. One of the first signs that a blessing is coming is separation. Suddenly, relationships begin to change. Friends who once walked closely with you start drifting away. Conversations become uncomfortable. You feel like you no longer belong in places you once enjoyed. At first, it feels painful. You may even think something is wrong with you. But sometimes God removes people from your life because they cannot go where He is taking you. Before great blessings come, God often creates distance between you and the influences that could hold you back. He begins to refine your circle so that the voices around you align with the purpose ahead. Separation is not rejection. It is divine redirection. Another powerful sign is intensified struggle. Just when you feel like you're moving forward, opposition appears. Problems increase. Doubts try to overwhelm your mind. Circumstances become heavier than before. But here is a spiritual truth many people forget. Battles often grow stronger when your breakthrough is near. The enemy does not fight battles that have no value. The greatest resistance often appears right before the greatest victory. So when you face unusual pressure, don't immediately assume you're losing. Sometimes pressure means that something significant is about to be born in your life. A third sign is an inner transformation. You begin to lose interest in things that once controlled your attention. Old habits start feeling empty. The things that once satisfied you no longer bring peace. Instead, a new hunger grows inside you. You feel drawn toward purpose, toward growth, toward God. This is not coincidence. It is transformation. Before God releases a blessing, He often reshapes your heart so that you are ready to carry it with wisdom and humility. Because blessings without preparation can become burdens. So God works on the inside before He releases what is on the outside. Another sign is a deep spiritual awakening. You suddenly feel a stronger desire to pray, to seek God, to understand His will. Even when life becomes difficult, something inside you keeps pushing you closer to Him instead of further away. That inner pull is not random. It is God drawing you closer because He knows the season ahead will require strength, clarity, and faith. Before major blessings appear, God often deepens your relationship with Him so that your foundation is strong enough to support what is coming. The fifth sign is closed doors. Opportunities disappear. Plans fall apart. Paths you expected to follow suddenly collapse. At first, this feels frustrating, but many times God closes doors not to punish you, but to protect you. If every door remained open, you might walk into places that would lead you away from your destiny. So God shuts certain doors so that the one He has prepared becomes unmistakably clear. Closed doors are often God's way of guiding your steps towards something better. When God is about to bless you, life does not always become easier immediately. In fact, many times it becomes more confusing right before the miracle arrives. Separation may come, challenges may increase, old desires may fade, faith may grow stronger, and certain doors may close. But these moments are not random. They are often the quiet signals that God is preparing something greater than you imagined. So if you recognize these signs in your life today, do not lose hope. Stand firm. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because sometimes the darkest night is simply the moment right before the sunrise of God's blessing. There are moments in life when you begin to notice that certain relationships around you start changing. People who once felt very close suddenly become distant. Conversations that used to flow naturally now feel uncomfortable. Places where you once felt accepted begin to feel unfamiliar. At first, this can be confusing and even painful. You may start asking yourself questions like, "Did I do something wrong?" Or, "Why are people treating me differently?" But sometimes what feels like rejection is actually a sign of divine preparation. Before God brings a major blessing into your life, He often begins by separating you from certain people. This separation is not meant to harm you. It is meant to protect the purpose that God is developing within you. Not everyone who walks with you today is meant to walk with you into your future. Some people are only assigned to a chapter of your story, not the entire journey. The truth is that when God begins to elevate someone, the environment around that person must also change. If you remain surrounded by voices that constantly doubt you, discourage you, or pull you back into old habits, it becomes difficult for you to step into the new season God is preparing. So God, in His wisdom, allows distance to form. Sometimes people leave quietly. Sometimes misunderstandings appear. Sometimes the connection simply fades. During this process, it is easy to feel lonely. You might look around and realize that the circle you once had is no longer the same. But loneliness in this season is not always a negative thing. Many times it is a sacred space where God begins to speak to your heart more clearly. When distractions are removed, your focus becomes sharper. When certain voices fade away, you begin to hear God's voice more strongly. Throughout life, the people around you influence your mindset, your decisions, and your direction. If God is preparing you for something greater, He must also make sure that the environment around you will not sabotage what He is about to do. Imagine trying to build something strong while people around you constantly weaken the foundation. It simply would not last. So before the blessing arrives, God strengthens the foundation by adjusting the relationships in your life. This separation can also reveal something important about your own growth. Sometimes when you change, not everyone will understand it. When your priorities shift toward purpose, discipline, and faith, some people may feel uncomfortable because they were used to the old version of you. But growth always creates distance between where you were and where you are going. What you must remember during this season is that separation is not abandonment. God is not removing people to leave you empty. He is creating room for the right people to enter your life at the right time. There are individuals who will support your calling, encourage your faith, and walk beside you as you move into the future God has planned. So if you notice relationships changing, do not immediately assume that something is wrong. Instead, pause and consider the possibility that God is rearranging your environment. He may be removing certain influences so that your heart, your focus, and your path are aligned with the blessing that is coming. In many cases, what feels like loss today will later reveal itself as protection. The distance you experience now may actually be clearing the path for a greater purpose. And when the season of blessing finally arrives, you will understand why certain people could not remain where God was taking you. When God is about to move in your life in a powerful way, one of the clearest signs is that you begin to face unusual challenges. Suddenly, circumstances that once seemed manageable now feel overwhelming. Problems appear one after another, almost as if life is conspiring against you. Doors that seemed open close unexpectedly. Plans you worked hard on suddenly hit roadblocks. At first, this can be discouraging. You may feel frustrated, confused, or even start questioning your faith. But these challenges are not random, nor are they a sign that God has abandoned you. In fact, they often signal that something significant is about to happen in your life. The truth is that the enemy does not waste his energy fighting battles that have no purpose. When opposition intensifies, it often means that you are on the verge of a breakthrough. The struggle is a test of your perseverance, a refining of your character, and a preparation for the blessing that is coming. Many people give up at this stage because they mistake resistance for failure. But those who persist through pressure often find themselves standing in the middle of a miracle they never imagined. Spiritual battles often accompany these challenges. You may feel an internal tug of war, anxiety, doubt, or fear trying to take hold of your mind. You may be tempted to give up or take shortcuts, but God is allowing these battles to strengthen your faith. He is teaching you to rely not on your own strength, but on His guidance, wisdom, and power. The greater the blessing, the stronger the preparation required. And preparation often comes through adversity. During these times, it is important to remember that challenges are temporary, but the lessons they teach are eternal. Each difficulty, each moment of uncertainty is shaping you into someone capable of receiving the blessing God has planned. It is like a refining fire, purifying and strengthening you, ensuring that when the blessing comes, you are ready to handle it with wisdom, humility, and gratitude. Many people fail to recognize that challenges are a sign of divine favor. They see only the struggle and not the purpose behind it. But if you look closely, you can often find a pattern. Doors closing, obstacles appearing, and trials intensifying often happen right before an opportunity arises that could change your life forever. What seems like a setback today may actually be a setup for tomorrow's victory. It is also during these challenges that your faith is tested. You may feel like giving up, but God is calling you to trust Him more deeply than ever. He is teaching you to lean on His promises, to stand firm in prayer, and to hold fast to the vision He has placed in your heart. This period of struggle is a reminder that God is in control, even when everything around you seems chaotic. So, when unusual challenges come into your life, do not be discouraged. Instead, see them as signs that God is about to move. Recognize that the pressure is not punishment, but preparation. Know that the battles are not to break you, but to make you strong enough to receive what He has promised. Keep praying, keep trusting, and keep moving forward, because often the moment of greatest opposition is immediately followed by the moment of greatest blessing. When you embrace this truth, you begin to see challenges not as enemies, but as divine messengers, signaling that your breakthrough is near and that God is actively working behind the scenes to fulfill His promises in your life. Before God releases a blessing, He often begins by changing your heart and your desires. You may notice that the things that once gave you satisfaction no longer bring joy. Old habits, routines, or pleasures that you once clung to suddenly feel empty or meaningless. You may even find yourself questioning the pursuits you once thought were important. At first, this can be unsettling because it feels like the life you knew is slipping away. But this inner transformation is a clear sign that God is preparing you for something greater, and He wants your heart to be aligned with the blessing that is coming. As your desires change, you begin to seek things that are more meaningful and aligned with your purpose. You start craving peace, clarity, and guidance rather than temporary pleasures. You feel a growing hunger for personal growth, spiritual depth, and meaningful connections. This shift is not accidental. It is a divine recalibration. God is reshaping your priorities so that you are ready to receive His blessing with a heart that is humble, faithful, and focused. Without this inner change, a blessing could be overwhelming or even misused, because God wants to ensure that you are capable of handling what He has in store. This transformation often comes quietly. You may not notice it at first, but gradually you find yourself drawn toward new things, new ideas, new people, new habits. You may feel compelled to step out of your comfort zone or leave behind situations that no longer serve your growth. Sometimes this change brings discomfort because growth rarely happens without some tension. You may struggle with letting go of the familiar, but the discomfort is a necessary part of the preparation process. God is teaching you to release what was once enough for you so that you can embrace what will truly fulfill you. Changing desires also helps you discern what is truly important. As your priorities shift, distractions that once seemed enticing lose their appeal. You become more focused, more determined, and more patient. You begin to understand that the blessing you are about to receive requires intentionality, discipline, and a willingness to pursue what is lasting rather than what is temporary. This is a crucial part of God's preparation because blessings are not only about what you receive externally, they are also about the person you are becoming internally. Sometimes this process can feel lonely because people around you may not understand the changes in your heart. They may continue to pursue old ways of living or cling to superficial goals while you are drawn to deeper purpose. But this is part of God's plan. He often reshapes your heart before He reshapes your life, ensuring that when the blessing comes, you are ready to steward it wisely. A transformed heart can handle responsibility, can remain faithful in abundance, and can use the blessing for good rather than for fleeting pleasure. The shift in your desires also reveals the alignment between your will and God's will. As you naturally begin to desire what is holy, what is just, and what is meaningful, you are being prepared to walk in the path God has set for you. The blessing that is coming is not just about success, comfort, or recognition. It is about fulfilling a divine purpose. And God knows that without this inner transformation, the external blessing could be wasted or misunderstood. So if you notice that your heart is changing, if your desires are shifting from the temporary to the eternal, take it as a sign that God is working on you. Celebrate the transformation, even when it feels challenging, because it is proof that you are being prepared for the blessing that is approaching. Trust that this inner work is essential, and embrace the changes as a necessary step toward the abundant life God intends for you. This period of transformation is a sacred process, shaping you into the person capable of receiving, appreciating, and wisely stewarding the incredible blessings God has in store. When God is preparing to bless you, one of the most powerful signs is a deep and growing pull toward prayer, faith, and seeking His presence. You may suddenly feel a desire to spend more time in quiet reflection, reading His Word, or talking to Him in prayer. Even when life becomes complicated and circumstances seem confusing, something inside you keeps drawing you closer to God. This pull is not coincidental. It is a divine invitation. God is calling you to strengthen your relationship with Him because the season ahead will require clarity, discernment, and unwavering faith. You may notice that ordinary distractions no longer satisfy you in the way they used to. Entertainment, social engagements, or even routine busyness begin to feel empty. Instead, you feel drawn to things that nourish your spirit, guide your heart, and align your life with purpose. This awakening is subtle at first, but gradually it becomes unmistakable. God is preparing your heart to be receptive to His blessings, and this spiritual pull ensures that your foundation is strong enough to handle the weight and responsibility of what is coming. During this period, prayer and faith become your most powerful tools. You may find that when you pray, you experience a new depth of peace and clarity. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming now begin to make sense when placed in God's hands. You start to trust His timing, even when it does not match your own. This is not simply a change in habit, it is a transformation in perspective. You are learning to rely on God completely, rather than depending solely on your own understanding or effort. This spiritual pull also acts as a guide. Just as a compass directs a traveler, God's influence draws you toward the people, opportunities, and choices that align with His plan. You may feel nudged to take steps that seem small or even uncomfortable, but these steps are preparing you for something greater. The inner guidance you experience is God orchestrating your journey, ensuring that you walk into your blessing with confidence, wisdom, and discernment. The pull toward faith and prayer also prepares you to endure the challenges that come before a blessing. Life may become more demanding, and obstacles may appear unexpectedly, but the deeper connection with God provides the strength to persevere. When your foundation in prayer and faith is strong, you are able to face trials without losing hope or direction. The pull toward God is a sign that He is equipping you to handle the blessing with grace, humility, and perseverance. Furthermore, this period often brings a heightened awareness of God's presence in your life. You begin to notice His guidance in ways you may have overlooked before, through answered prayers, through coincidences that lead to opportunities, and through the counsel of wise mentors or friends who share your vision. God is making His presence undeniable so that when the blessing arrives, you recognize it as His work and not your own achievement. So if you feel a stronger draw toward prayer, faith, and God's Word, do not ignore it. This pull is a sign that you are being prepared for something significant. God is positioning you to receive His blessing fully, with a heart attuned to His voice and a spirit ready to act in obedience. Embrace this season of spiritual awakening, knowing that every moment spent seeking Him now is laying the foundation for the miraculous and abundant life He has promised to bring into your journey. The deeper your connection grows, the clearer your path to God's blessing becomes, and the stronger you will be when it finally arrives. One of the most important signs that God is about to bless you is when doors in your life begin to close. Suddenly, opportunities you once counted on vanish. Plans that seemed certain fall apart, and paths that appeared open suddenly become blocked. At first, this can be confusing and even frustrating. You may find yourself asking, "Why is this happening? I thought I was on the right path. Did I make a mistake?" But the truth is that God often closes doors not to punish you, but to protect you and to redirect you towards something better. Closed doors are not the end of your journey. They are a divine guide showing you that something greater is ahead. When God closes certain doors, He is preparing you for the right opportunity that aligns with His will. If every door remained open, you might walk into situations that could hinder your growth, lead you away from your purpose, or cause unnecessary harm. God's wisdom sees beyond your current understanding, and He knows the timing and placement of blessings better than you ever could. What seems like rejection is often protection. It is God clearing the path so that when the right door opens, it will lead you exactly where you are meant to go. Closed doors also teach patience and trust. In a world that values speed and immediate results, waiting can feel uncomfortable. Yet God uses these moments to cultivate faith within you. He wants you to trust His timing and rely on His guidance rather than forcing your way through life. Learning to wait on God builds endurance, strengthens character, and prepares you to handle the blessing with wisdom and humility. When the right door finally opens, you will enter with the confidence that comes from knowing it is part of God's plan, not just your own effort. Sometimes the process of doors closing is accompanied by a sense of loss or disappointment. You may grieve opportunities that seemed perfect or feel uncertain about the future. This is natural. But it is important to remember that God is always working behind the scenes. He knows that what you thought was good may not have been best, and what He has prepared for you surpasses anything you could have imagined. Closed doors are His way of steering you towards something greater, more aligned with your purpose and designed for your long-term good. Closed doors also clarify the path ahead. When multiple options disappear, you are forced to focus on the one path that God is opening. This clarity prevents distraction and ensures that your energy, attention, and faith are invested in the opportunity that truly matters. It is a way for God to teach discernment, showing you that not every open door is for you, and not every opportunity aligns with your destiny. By closing some doors, He reveals the door that will lead to blessing, growth, and fulfillment. It is important to recognize that closed doors are temporary. They are not permanent barriers, but intentional pauses that allow God to orchestrate your journey. Often, just when you feel discouraged, the right door opens, and it leads to a blessing far greater than what you initially imagined. The timing, the circumstances, and the people involved will be perfect because God has carefully prepared everything in advance. Your task is to trust the process, remain faithful, and keep walking in obedience, knowing that the right opportunity will come at the right time. So when you notice doors closing in your life, do not despair. Instead, see it as a sign that God is working behind the scenes, protecting you, redirecting you, and preparing the way for the blessing that is coming. Closed doors are not a message of defeat. They are a message of hope. They are an assurance that God's plan is unfolding and the best is yet to come. By trusting Him, remaining patient, and staying faithful, you will find that every closed door was a stepping stone leading you directly into the abundance, purpose, and divine favor He has destined for your life.